Hello everyone. Let's talk about autism, which is a spectrum, which means that children with autism, individuals with autisms do not all look alike. They are very different. And the spectrum is also about the different combination of skills that they have. So when we are talking about autism, we need to understand that first thing is about communication skills, verbal and non-verbal language. That is difficult for children with autism, for people with autism. Social skills, how to get along with people, when to say, what to say, how to understand what people are feeling, what are the expected behaviors in terms of the situation, how to adapt to different situations quickly without effort is difficult for people with autism. Then people with autism also have some difficulties in terms of what kind of sensory load. When we say senses, we need to understand hearing, vision, how we take the world in, the smell, the touch on the skin, what it feels like. Sometimes sensorily, these people with autism are more sensitive than the usual. Some of the stimulus in the environment affect them more and they feel uncomfortable with those stimulus. Sometimes they become occupied with some details of the situation, some details of a topic, and their brain works in an overdrive just focusing on that topic or that stimulus that is catching their attention, and they're not able to deviate to something which could be more useful in a situation, which could be more productive for them in a situation, and it becomes kind of dysfunctional. When we say the word dysfunctional is about when the routine life, when the routine responsibilities kind of take a back seat, and something which is not of so much importance, if not making their life go forward, becomes a preoccupation with them. And that's the whole gamut of autism spectrum disorder that we need to understand. Now sometimes we also think in terms of high functioning and low functioning people with autism. What does high functioning mean? High functioning means that the level of support that this person needs to thrive in life is less. The number of skills that they have to go ahead with their lives independently are more, proportionately more than a person who we will call low functioning. The amount of support that they need is high, and the number of skills that they have that are coming naturally to them to thrive in life are proportionately less. So when we say a person who has, say, adequate or more than adequate problem solving skills when it comes to life, so intelligence, understanding what life wants from me, when their skills in terms of language that they use, that they understand in daily life is high, we would say this is a high functioning person. A lot of people with high functioning autism also have good academic skills. Their reading, writing skills, their skills with mathematics could be high. But sometimes their skill in reading and writing could be high, but their handwriting could be bad. They are not able to write the same skills legibly, but when they would type out their thoughts, they would type out fine, which is to do with the fine motor skills. Sometimes abstractness of language is confusing, which is they understand concrete language very well, but when it comes to metaphors, understanding idioms, understanding jokes or sarcasm is difficult. And this is where sometimes understanding math in terms of a word problem, what math operation needs to be used in this word problem is difficult. But when it comes to using bare math sums, number problems, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, they are able to do those operations pretty well. So now for us to understand that when I am looking at students in school system, a lot of times we would have children on the higher end of spectrum, high functioning children with autism in the school systems, because it takes them quite a while to be detected in the school system. If their language, especially if their language milestones have been age appropriate, They entered school with a lot of talking and communication skills. It took them probably by 5th or 6th grade when the social challenges of peer groups start showing up, when they start struggling to get the nuances of adolescent interactions, when children start doing much more naughty things within the group, away from school rules, when the naughtiness of the peer group starts experimenting with school rules, where they are different in front of teachers and they are different away from teachers, when they crack jokes which are double meaning language, if I may use that word. That's when we start seeing struggles with children who are high functioning in the school system. Children who enter school systems, or generally who have less language, are easier to be detected in younger years because they don't talk much, they don't respond to classroom situations, they do not seem ready to learn in the school system. Then the students are easier to be detected. For us to know that on the whole spectrum of autism, our students could be at any end, we need to be looking at students if they struggle socially to adapt to situations, if they struggle in their language of communicating their ideas orally, when they hear somebody and they are not able to understand what this person meant, when they read stories and they are not able to understand what this story was wanting to convey. What is it that I was supposed to comprehend about this story? Even when we talk about the story, we need to be looking at autism spectrum. Again, as a parent, as a teacher, as a school system, if we feel confused, if we feel we are not sure about it, it is always good to seek out an expert psychologist, an expert pediatrician, an expert psychiatrist, to see what their training tells us. Is the student on the spectrum and do we need to do different? Knowing whether the student is on spectrum or not is probably just the first beginning point of understanding from a different lens, moving away from the norm and saying what kind of support do we need to give to this person. Generally, if we understand them well, if we understand what their needs are and we support them adequately, they are able to thrive. They are able to thrive in their own ways. And a lot of times my working with students with disabilities tells me that when we start problem solving for them, we learn so much more about all the students that we are working with. What needs to be done differently is loaded with ideas that can actually be used with all children, because children come in different shapes and sizes, right? What works for one child does not work for the other. And a lot of times working with children with autism or working with any other disability is about us as teachers, parents, learning what child development is all about, what different, even adults, people in our families need different from us, and we become better people at people skills when we learn with our children with autism. So my appeal to everybody is, let's try to look at what this person is all about, not trying to have children or people with autism fit into what the norm or the society dictates us. We need to be creating environments where this person, this one person thrives. And once we become confident in helping one person thrive, believe me, we are in a much more better position to support more and more people thrive, because it's about individualizing the learning environment for this one person.